Hello, Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security. We had a Q&A with a short little clip discussion on a particular topic. So I'm going to attach it for you here. It might be something that you're interested in if you clicked on this header. And following that, we're going to go through it a little bit more. So just wanted to give you the heads up. This is where it started from, and then we'll have the bigger discussion right after. All right, chat with you later. Bye-bye. Next question. Zoe says, I'm sending my CMP exam and will have them reach out to my psychiatrist to get records as well. What exactly should my psychiatrist send? In my opinion, psychiatrists have the power if the patient signs the HIPAA form to send the whole thing, psychotherapy notes and everything. Unlike physical doctors, mental health professionals have the power to not send everything like the physical doctors have to. They can withhold psychotherapy notes and only psychotherapy notes. Some of them get this confused and they think they can withhold everything, even the fact that you're even there. And this is when you've asked for them to release everything, including the psychotherapy notes. So they do have the power to withhold them. It was something that was carved out of HIPAA. I don't agree with it. I think if the patient wants it revealed to whoever, whatever confidential place like SSA they want it sent to, they should be able to get it. But the mental health profession did somehow lobby and get that big carve out for themselves, which is kind of sad because sometimes you get the feeling that they did it because they don't actually take notes and some of them are sleeping on the job. But aside from that, psychotherapy notes can really tell a lot of information from a humanistic point of view. And, unless it describes you being some horrible, horrible child killer, in your own life, or a serial killer that could get you in trouble, if it's just the trauma, even though some people don't want it sent to the SSA, I think it can be really helpful, in my opinion, because the people adjudicating claims are human. And I feel that, because the psychiatric world is very indefinite, subjective, some people will put someone as, he can't do squat, and he's out running a company or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, they'll set their whole diagnoses are so sometimes, they don't have a lot of credibility, which is a shame, but that's because it's the brain and we can't put it under an MRI and read what's going on. I'm just turning off my phone. So I think some adjudicators have a problem believing when they say someone is extremely or markedly limited in one of these basic areas that the SSA cares about, particularly when you're under 50, Zoe. So sometimes I think if the adjudicator sees, not that they can hang their hat on it because it's not the diagnosis and it's not the provider's opinion on how severe the limitations are, but when they see the reason for why it might have happened, why there might be that severe PTSD and why it's as severe as it is, as it's alleged to be, I feel like that can help because they're human and they're not entirely stupid. So, it's one thing to say, I have chronic PTSD and I have this, that, and the other thing, and I can't do anything, not even a simple job that doesn't involve people, like I'm totally on my own, blah, blah, blah. But if they see what caused it, because everyone and their mother claims to have PTSD. And I say that like kind of like unhappily because, there are, at the very least, there are severe differences. I mean, some people have a PTSD, they supposedly, I don't know if I agree with it, but I'm not the mental health professional, because they saw a car accident getting cleaned up by the highway workers over there on that other lane a mile back. And now they're saying I saw an accident, not, and then we have people who have had far more. And because different psyches have different levels of strength and everything, some people more fragile than others, you know, I guess it can be, but I don't know that it's going to hold a lot of water. Or it will hold less water if someone has the capability of showing them why things have gotten so difficult with PTSD, kind of showing how really severe the trauma was that brought that, can make it a little more focused and driven home. I think that's just my take. I don't know what you guys think. But on the same token, you have to be willing to let that stuff go to the SSA, which is entirely confidential. So, I would never not do it for any fear of lack of confidentiality. I think it can make for a stronger case. So that's up to you, though. I mean, when we send out them, they're always like, yes, and we want psychotherapy records. That's what my clients do. Doesn't mean the psych has to send them. For some reason, they are a more adult than you, the patient, which I don't understand that at all. I think it's offensive and demeaning, but it is what it is. If they have something in there where you're talking about a family member and maybe some criminal something or other, I do understand withholding that and or redacting that. You're not trying to, because what if it's something that is a reporting requirement for somebody else? But if it's not anything like that, I kind of have a problem with them being your big brother and not letting you make the decision. I mean, you're a full-grown adult. You obviously are smart, and talented. So that kind of bugs me. All right. Hey, so if the subject matter of the video you just listened to is of interest and you want more on it, stay tuned. Here's another one about the same topic, but a little bit different. Bye now. Good afternoon, Stephanie Joy. I just wanted to share, this is really for my mental health colleagues, mental health professional colleagues. I was recently in a conversation with an acquaintance who had been under the impression that as a mental health counselor, she was not obliged to provide medical records, mental health records, when her patients requested same with a proper request, signature, who they are, address, etc. So, but she had gotten wind that might not be so. So we were talking about it. And so this is for her and anybody else it helps. The fact is, mental health professionals, whether you are a psychiatrist, psychologist, or a counselor, therapist, or anything in between, you are not relieved of your HIPAA obligations to provide access to records, flat out. I know it's a big misconception out there. So I just wanted to point you to, because there is an actual difference, though. You get one little small carve out, which is important for you to know. And I think that carve out may have been what people misinterpreted who actually didn't read the code and all that, to think that they had a total carve out. Now, in fact, when you do that, it's a HIPAA violation and things could get a little tenuous for you with that. So let's just go to it. Okay, so if you go to, let me just explain first, HIPAA obligation, access to medical records, everybody's got to do it, right? But mental health professionals do get a carve out of psychotherapy records, psychotherapy notes, not the rest of the record set pertaining to treatment, okay? So if you go to 45 CFR section 164.501, that is definitions. And if you look up the definition of psychotherapy notes, and the reason why they put it in there is so that you know what that means, that you can refuse to provide your patient even if they ask for it with proper documentation. So I'm going to read this part to you. Psychotherapy notes means notes recorded in any medium by a healthcare provider who is a mental health professional documenting or analyzing the contents of conversation during a private counseling session or a group, joint or family counseling session, and that are separated from the rest of the individual's medical record. Psychotherapy notes excludes medication. So here's what it excludes. And this is where some were getting a little messed up with, because they didn't know there was an exclusion from psychotherapy notes. They thought psychotherapy notes meant all the mental health treatment. Okay, so psychotherapy notes excludes medication prescription and monitoring, counseling sessions, start and stop times, the modalities and frequencies of treatment furnished, results of clinical tests, and any summary of the following items: diagnosis, functional status, the treatment plan, symptoms, prognosis and progress to date. So you can't withhold those. You can only withhold the contents, meaning the details of an intimate conversation. Perhaps when I think they're alluding to if someone's talking about a really painful, detailed incident, it involves other people's names, all that kind of stuff. So everything else under HIPAA, you are obligated to provide within 30 days, okay, for each and every session. All right. So, but it's important to know, so you know which part, if you keep your psychotherapy notes in a separate section from the rest of your treatment records, that might be the easiest way to quickly provide what you need. I know some knowledgeable mental health professionals who will just redact out because they don't have them totally separated, but they will just redact out. They have it like in a paragraph section and they will redact that part out. But for those that have it separated, it's super easy because then it's just that one main page that has all of the the mental status exam, the mood, the affect, the demeanor, the speech pattern, the appearance, if someone's hygienic or looking disheveled. Did I say mood? Angry, tearful, tangential, rapid speech, slow speech, physical movements, all those kind of things. So anyway, just wanted to give that to Jeanette. Thank you very, Jeanette, for bringing it up. So that is the section that gives you the definition of psychotherapy notes and what is not psychotherapy notes. So you knew what you have to comply with so you don't get yourself in a bind with the Office of Civil Rights for a HIPAA violation. Okay. Hope it helps. I know. I can find out how to buy it now. See you guys.